everyone. Today I have with me author Laura Beers, and we are going to be talking about her first two novels. I have the first one here, Saving Shadow, and she has the other one, A Peculiar Courtship. And you know, you can't see, I mean, I want them to see, this is great. Yeah, I got your cover. This is a great cover. And I am so happy to be talking to you. And what I love about you is that you found me. And
yes,
not a lot of people find me. So I was so excited when you were like, do you want to read my books? I'm like, yes, I want to read your books.
Thank you. Yeah, being a first-time author, sometimes you have to beg and plead for people to read your book, to take a chance on you.
Yes, but that's, you know, why I started this to begin with. I love interviewing authors that are accomplished, of course, because it's more of a thing for me to be like, oh, look at them. But really what I wanted to do was be a voice for people to have their own video that are new authors and to be able to like put them on their websites or put, you know, go to YouTube and have them out there. So I was so excited to be able to, you know, read your book. And your books are awesome. They're
Thank
so
you.
good. I got so involved. Laura and I had planned to do this video a couple days ago, and I hadn't realized that she had a second one out. And I was like, yes, I want to read the second one. I definitely want this to continue. So I'm so happy that you made this into a series because I love these characters and I love the setting. And I wanted to find out, like, how did you decide to put them into, I don't even know, like, what, you wouldn't call it Victorian England, I guess.
Regency.
Regency, okay. I always get it messed up, and all my historical authors always correct me. So, so what made you decide about that time period to start a story?
Well, lately, after my kids started getting a little older, I started reading. I love history. I don't know why. When I went to college, I majored in construction management, but I should have majored in history because I just am fascinated by history.
Me too.
But I mainly didn't want to be a teacher because it's hard work, you know,
right.
taking care of kids all day long. So, but anyways, I love history. And so I started reading a bunch of books, and I really loved the Regency time period just because it's the gentlemen were still gentlemen for the most part. You know, women got to wear these beautiful dresses, and it was still kind of like a golden age, if you will, for the wealthy.
Right.
It was very much a great time to live.
Yes.
And it was very fascinating. It's also very hypocritical time, you know, where men did not kiss women until they were married, but they had mistresses across town.
Yes.
So it's just like a fun time to write about. And mainly I've always wanted to be a duchess, and I always wanted to be a spy. So why not put them together? And
I know. Are you going crazy over Meghan Markle, like getting engaged to Prince Harry? Like, I don't know why, but the English, well, I am half English anyway, so I know that that's why royalty kind of, you know, takes me. But I remember Princess Diana. I remember I've always been one of those people that, like, when it comes to royalty, I'm like right in there, like, yes. And some people don't care, but I do. So.
You know, I think it's interesting because I love her. I mean, I obviously don't know Meghan, but she made the quote. She did her own clothing line, and everything's under $100. And she says, you know, I'm not the type of girl who spends $10 on candles when I was younger. I'm the type of girl who's scrounging for change in my car to put enough gas money to an audition. And I thought, and now she's marrying one of the richest men in the world, you know, and she but the reason why I liked her at first, because I didn't really think that they were going to get married because she's a divorcee.
Right.
She's, you know, it doesn't matter that she's half black because obviously that's no big deal over there. But the divorcee American, I mean, it was like everything poor, like everything you could do. And so to me, it really must be a love story because she's really into humanitarian work too. And she's a remarkable lady. So I'm very pleased.
I fell in love with Fergie back in the day. And she reminds me of Fergie because even though they are divorced now, at the time, I felt like they really liked each other. Where Princess Diana and Prince Charles never seemed to have that like connection. But at one point, Andrew and Fergie seemed to really connect. And there was like a love there. And I see that in them. And that's why I think like I'm reading all these articles, anything that Yahoo puts up about it. And I watched her on Suits too. And so I do know who she is. But
Did you notice that they were holding hands during the interview?
I know, it was so cute. And not just holding hands, but she was like clasping his with both her hands. And I was like, oh.
See, that's American right there. English, you know, when Kate, you know, and Will, they did it, they were clasping, you know, arms linked, and they're actually like holding hands. And I'm like, Aw. Let's hope England is ready for an American in there.
I know. I love them. I think it's going to be really cute. I can't wait for the wedding. So, but anyway, that's why I love English history. I mean, I read a lot of English history all across, back 1600s, 1500, I love it. But I loved that you made the main character was a woman who went against everything over there. And I loved how strong she was, and her name's Elizabeth, but Eliza, and I love that too, because everybody's Elizabeth. I mean, they have lots of Elizabeths, but she kind of stands out because she's Eliza, and takes on that persona of Eliza, and then she becomes like this top spy agent. So you took royalty, and my thing is like, is there such a thing, or did you make it up? Like, did they have these like spies, or... I don't know.
I did a lot of research because obviously her catch is that she has a photographic memory.
Right.
And so I kind of said, okay, what would someone with a photographic memory would do? How could that help? Well, back then, codes were very... First of all, England was at war with Napoleon, and also the War of 1812 for America.
Yes.
So England was at war pretty much with everyone.
Right.
So there would have been a lot of codes going back and forth. And so codes were, back then, it was either embedded into the document itself.
Right.
So someone with a very keen brain or intellect would be able to recognize patterns in that. They also did it based upon, because there weren't as many books back then. I mean, they had books, but there were French edition and English edition. And so someone who was extremely well-read could recognize phrases or things that came from another book and a source, and could then use that as a key to decipher an enemy code. So someone like Eliza, who is well-read, who's read French books and English books, might potentially recognize certain key phrases as, oh, I remember this from this book. And there was a huge portion that I actually deleted where she kind of explained codes a little more in detail. And one of it was based upon the first historical fiction French book, and how it was written in French, and it was written like 20 years before it came over to England, and it was different. The pages were different. The words were different. And so they used the French edition as the key. And so she discovered that, but my editor's like, that's getting too detailed. Let's get back onto the, track. And so anyways, there were really only, and they used a visible ink. So someone who had a mathematical mind and someone who had a photographic memory could actually be very useful. And the Home Office actually did have a team of linguistics. That was their job, was to crack enemy codes.
Interesting. Because I knew, I was like, there's no way she made this whole thing up. You had to have gotten the idea from something, but I just have never read anything like it. That's what I loved about it, is that I love when historical fiction authors take it in a different, totally open me up to a different part of that time. And there's just so many stories,
There's so many stories. And like, we're starting to learn all about these stories of these women in World War II that were spies.
Yes.
And we're starting to learn about these women who, especially back in England in 1813, when they were very much undervalued for their intellect. Right. And so I think a woman could very much well have been a spy and easily kind of, been married to... oh, my goodness, are you there?
Yeah.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I'm losing you. I'm so sorry. I have to get my charger. This is horrible. But anyways, I think that very much women could have been overlooked, and they could have snuck into defenses, because men back then just wanted a woman that looked good on their arm. They didn't care, or they were wealthy. They didn't care about anything else. And that's kind of what this book is about, is what if a daughter of a duke had a photographic memory that was able to get into these places, such as, because back then, obviously, the daughters of dukes, I'm so sorry, this is horrible. Daughters of dukes actually had...
You look fine. You look great. Yeah. You're like multitasking.
Unparalleled access to places. And so because of that, they could get into these dignitaries, and especially a 17-year-old girl. So, oh my goodness. Hold on. I'm trying to find my charger. Please, ask me another question.
Okay. Well, first of all, I always, there are things that I pick up character-wise. You did so good with the characters, okay? I ended up loving every character, and for different reasons. But the relationships of these characters, like I have a brother. So right away, when I read a story like yours that introduces a brother and a sister, I can easily connect to it, okay? And so right away, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I can really understand her point of view when dealing with her brother. And so do you have a brother?
Yes, I have two brothers, and I also have two sisters. I'm the middle child, so I'm stuck in the middle. So that's one of the reasons why I loved the witty banter.
Yes. Yeah, so I have 6 children, okay? So, and I have 2 girls and 4 boys, but in my relationship with my brother, it was just the 2 of us, okay? And I know that they have other siblings, so it's not just the 2 of them. So I kind of was not just looking at it from my brothers and my relationships, but it's interesting as your children grow up, and I'm sure as you did, being in a large family, the ones you're closer to and then the ones you're not so close to. Like, my 6 children are spanned from 14 to 30. And so there's lots of age gaps in between different ones, but on the most part, they talk all the time. But then there are some relationships that are closer than other relationships.
Right. Yes. It's really interesting because in the book, she's in the first book, you find out she's close with Jonathan. Right. Eliza's close with Jonathan.
Right.
In the second book, you get that closer sense of she's even closer with Jonathan because they're closer in age, but also they've been partners for so long and they know each other. But you meet Kate, her sister, and you meet their relationship. But in the third book, I can't say too much because I don't want it to be a spoiler, but in the third book, Kate comes alive. And you see Kate in a very different light. You see Kate as she's kind of had a really sucky life. And and all of a sudden you see Eliza here. She has been kicked out of the Abbey at a young age, at 10. And she thinks, okay, now I'm free. But she doesn't realize that Kate wasn't free. She was left behind to live with her mother and then to become married at 17. And so she's starting, so Eliza sees her sister. Yeah, and Eliza sees her sister in a different light too. Right. Where all of a sudden, oh, I hadn't thought, and so anyways, the third book is really good because Kate comes alive. And so obviously I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but Luke is in the fourth book. And Luke is not really mentioned other than is the oldest brother, the heir. Yes. And he's not really mentioned, but I'm actually starting to write his story right now. And it's so amazing. When I first wrote the first book, I thought I'm never going to love characters more than I'm going to love Eliza and Benedict. And then I get done with my second book and I'm like, I love Eliza and Benedict and they're awesome, but I really love Lady Hannah and Lady Jonathan. Me too. And then I get into my third book and I'm like, oh, I really love these characters too. And so it's amazing but the other characters, you're doing character development along the way, but you give each of them such different personalities, kind of like siblings, where even though you're in the third book and you're bringing these characters back, you're bringing back their personalities, which makes it kind of fun. So,
first of all, there was this author I talked to right in the beginning of when I started to do this, and she was Canadian, and I said to her, what advice do you have for new authors? And she said, write a series. And she said, somebody told me that. And then I started doing it, and she showed me her work board. It was like this crazy whiteboard with Post-its and storylines, and right. She'd been doing it a long time too, and she is really popular. She's got a really huge fan base, I should say, in Canada. And when I read this and I didn't know, and then I read the second one and I was like, oh my gosh, she's so Laura. I have to tell her, because if you keep going with this is a great storyline, because I felt the same way after the first book. And the second book, when you introduced Hannah, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to like Hannah as much as I like Eliza. I think I'm too hung up on Eliza. And then by the end of that, I'm like, okay, well, now I really like Hannah, and I see she's got a third one coming out, so I hope it's about Hannah, because I want to read more about Hannah. But it doesn't matter. Like, all these characters get richer, and And
Yes.
I love that these could be standalones, but I am telling everybody out there, start with this one. You will not be disappointed. It will really lead to that second one. You picked it up at the right spots. You introduced them. But if you don't know Eliza's story, like, I just feel like it's richer, and that's just my point of view, and sells more books. But it's my point of view. So, I mean, I like when series are standalones because then people can pick it up. But what usually ends up happening is if they pick up your second book, they're going to be like, oh, I want to read more about Eliza, and they're going to go back and read the first one anyway. So, and you will do that. They will do that because it is such a these personalities are awesome. And I wrote down lines because I make a quotable. I am one of those walking quotables. Okay, so, and this is interesting because I think you copied this line, but I wanted to find out exactly, because I think you credited to Shakespeare in the very beginning. You said, it is not in the stars to hold our destiny, but in ourselves.
Yes.
So that was a Shakespeare.
That was Shakespeare, yeah. And it kind of goes along is that Eliza is extremely well-read. And so she actually would quote, she had quoted Shakespeare and a few other people a few more times. Yeah.
Yeah, she would know that. So I love that. I mean, I love quotes. I love when they're stuck in there and I find it and then they kind of give me chills. And that's how I know that it's like one that I want to write down. And I've been doing more and more. The more interviews I do, the more, because I want to take these books like away with me. And that's one of the ways to do it, is to, write down the quotes and, get invested in and not just like going to the next, because it's so easy for me to just go on to the next book. And I want to be like, no, how do I remember? And I can look this up and be like, oh, yes, I remember, So, all right. And then in the second.
And it's so interesting. It's part of, and I hoped I could portray it. When she started off at 17, she thought being an agent was going to be this grand, great adventure. Here she was thinking, this is the greatest thing. I get to be like my brother who is an agent.
And I think that was the next line.
I get to do hard things. Yeah. Yeah. And she realized later, when you're more than an assassin than an agent, why different? So
it kind of sets it up,
and
though.
Like a lot of it has to. I mean, I had brother. He serves in. A lot of the times, these young men are so excited to go to war because they're going to prove themselves to be heroes, and no one is prepared for the atrocities of war. So.
Right. Exactly. So that was my favorite. I picked it out. Plus, I'm not trying to give away any spoilers, too. So I try to pick lines that, set the stories up, Your face, just so you know, you're just stuck right now. I mean, I can hear you perfect, but.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So. Oh, it's coming in a little bit better.
You have to move around again.
I know. You were getting better reception, like, over there. But no worries. I can hear you fine. I just don't want you to know that your face was frozen.
Okay, let me try this one better now.
Oh, that's
Am I there?
Yes, definitely. Okay. It's starting to get dark here, so I have to, hold the book closer. And, okay. So the second book, you're setting up the story, right, for Hannah. And what I took away, the line that I took away as the setup line was, trust no one but Lord Beckett. And then right away, this is going to be interesting because she's, putting it in there that I knew that in the middle and end of the book, I'm going to be going back and going, oh, that's where she set it up, that really she was not supposed to. Her dad said, don't trust anyone but this man. So, and like I said, I'm not trying to give away because I'm trying to talk around it. So it sounds weird to us because we know the story. But I want everybody to read these books. So anyway, I cannot say how happy I am that I got to read. I can't say how happy I am. I really can't. I mean, I love finding people like you, except for I didn't find you. You found me, and I was so happy to read them, and so I could tell you how really good they are. And you're a mom. You have 3 children, and I am always so inspired by women like you who find something to do outside of being a mom that it's your thing, because in raising my children, I didn't really have a thing. I kind of just did the raise, and then all of a sudden I have grandchildren, and I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? I don't have any children left to raise, and I don't know what to do. So, it's so inspiring because it's like now we can do more. And I tell my daughters that it's like, have your thing, because when they go to bed or they go out with their friends or this is like all about you, and you have these great stories in you that you can bring out to everybody.
Yeah, my kids though are not very impressed. They're more excited about going to QT, which is a gas station here, and getting a drink, than knowing that mommy has a book. In fact, my daughter, when I mentioned I was, writing book 4, she's like, no, not another one.
No, you're going to do something, then pay attention to me? They can't you got to pay attention to me. And let me tell you, they grow up and they don't even remember that you paid attention to them. They're like, I don't even remember that. I'm telling you, my kids will be like, do you remember this? Like, I'll have like this memory of this thing I did, all the time to like create memories. And they'll be like, I don't even remember that. What was my son? My son was saying that the other day. Oh, about our Christmas tree. I was like, yeah, we had this one Christmas tree that we always did it this way. And he's like, I don't even remember that. I'm like, are you kidding me? I made such a big deal about it. How much more of a big deal could I make? So it's, I'm just, you're inspiring, and I just want to tell you that for other young women to know that they can do this, and because there's a lot of women that put it off, and I interview a lot of them too, that they wait till they're my age, and they're like, okay, well now I can write, and it's like, why not have been writing? Like, you're going to take that with you, and and this is the beginning of your journey. So
thank you for calling me young. So I very much appreciate that. And one of my biggest hardships was after being a stay-at-home mom, because like I said, I majored in construction management. So I took 2 English courses in college and a business writing course. And I then worked for a few years, put my husband through school, through his engineering program. And then I didn't do anything. I sat at home, and the most complicated notes would be love notes to my kids, in their lunchbox. Like I would write basic emails, but I didn't even do anything. And so then when I thought, I have this story in my head that I can't get rid of, I thought, but I don't know anything about writing. And so I kind of stepped back and kept reading. And then the story kept coming back, and I thought, I should do it. So luckily I had smart friends that went to college and majored in all 4 to 8 years of this. And they reminded me how to write. And also the structure, because writing a novel based upon only reading books is hard. So I then obviously, after I started doing it, it became easier. And then obviously I hired a professional editor. That makes a difference. But it definitely is a learning curve if all of a sudden you're like, I want to write a book, and so that was probably my hardest thing, is I had the idea, but technically I needed to relearn how to write. So.
Yeah, and with this series, like, you never know. It could be the 3rd or 4th one that becomes a number 1, and then everybody goes back, because sometimes it takes a couple, in a series, like, and then one of them will be like, it'll go through, and then the rest of them just kind of come along with it. So keep going with this. I really highly encourage, because it is a great story. It is. I fell in love with the characters so easily, and please get me the next one when the 3rd one comes out.
I'm so excited. That one is with my editor right now. And she, of course, has, her, she's having a granddaughter being born and a few in the holidays. So she's like, I'll get it to you, the first draft on January 15th. And I'm like, oh, but I'm so excited. Like, I almost want to go back and read it again. But I know once she touches up, it'll be a lot better.
Right.
But, but then, like I said, now I'm working on book number 4. And I'm thinking, gosh, I love these characters. And I can tell you book 4, though, is about Lady Rachel and Luke. So nice. I'm not sure if Lady Rachel is Eliza's friend.
Yes,
so
yes.
That's not really a spoiler, because she's not really in the book 2 or 3 so very much. So anyway, so I'm reading about Luke, and I'm like, since Luke's not really mentioned in the first 2 other than his name, I get to create a whole persona about him, and it has been so much fun.
And who I thought you were going to make it a story out of, so you could just like keep it in the back of your head, is Lucy.
Lucy? Yeah. I could do that.
That could be like book 6, 5, 6, 7,
There is a good chance that Martha will be.
Okay.
In a very good chance. Because if you notice, her dad was a vicar.
Yes.
And most people...
Martha's a good one, too. Yes, Martha would be a good one, because she was the one that set up for Eliza, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Lucy, though... Lucy would be good. I could work around her too. Yeah, if she's a beloved character, but yeah.
And
Martha
you know what?
has my.
That's what's going to happen is your fans are going to tell you. Because that's what this Canadian woman told me. Her fans will be like, okay, I want a book about this person. And she's like, okay. And she just writes a book about that person. So, you know, you just keep going.
Well, I have so many I mean, there's characters that I'm introducing that I thought, oh my goodness, this one I'm so excited about. I'm like, focus first. You got to get through these characters. But Martha, like I said, her dad is a vicar. And as you know, people that have titles, the second born and the third born either go into the military or become a vicar. Yes. So, but that one obviously will be, I'm excited about that one. That first time to get to book number 4.
Right, that could open up a whole new, you know, world too. So, well, anyway, it was so good to meet you, Laura. I hope we stay friends because I really do want to keep reading them, and we can keep talking about them and just, you know, get it all out there for everybody to know you. And I love your Facebook posts; they're amazing. I do. And I will have all of Laura's links so you can find her, and her Amazon page and everything will be listed here. But yeah, look her up on Facebook because she gives very entertaining posts about her characters, and I love it. So I'm glad you're, you know, active about it because it will help, you know.
Well, someone once said to me, they're like, no wonder why you're making good books, because what goes on in your head? And I'm like, you have no idea. Like,
you have no idea.
These are like... crazy in here.
It's crazy in here. Well, thank you so much. Hold up your book again so everybody can see. It's getting dark. Do you see that? All of a sudden, it's like 4:30 and it like got dark. So. And
my favorite thing about this one is the holding the dagger.
Yes. And you know what? I didn't notice that until I went back because of reading it, and then I went back and I was like, I like it.
You know, it's so interesting because when the cover artist gave me 2 renditions, I said, oh, you know, his eyes are closed. You know, can we make changes? She's like, if we make changes, we lose the dagger. And I'm like, nope, don't want to lose the dagger.
Right. And then, you know, so see, I just didn't know if I could get the glare off so they could see that Eliza too. So yeah, great covers. And I can't wait. Just email me. You know where to find me. And
definitely. You'll be getting my 3rd book. I'm so excited.
Right. Well, have a great holiday, and we'll chat soon, okay?
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.